This is the third time I've done something like this, and the second time I forgot to click record, maybe? So this is effectively the second time I'm posting something like this. I am heading to Venice Beach, a spot that is great for hearing who knows what, because there's so many people that are from all kinds of walks of life. I also made a new friend. Aiden is super cool, and I met him 2 weeks ago at Timmy Bishop's Dreamer State University retreat, which is something I have never done anything like and would absolutely recommend to anyone to do it. A montage could go here if I felt like editing it in. I got a pumpkin. Here we go. I know you want this pumpkin for my girl. She's a cow. Here you go, Bernie's. A little ear scratch. That's my girl! One of the things about Aiden that struck me was how he is incredibly kind. And he has a 2-bedroom apartment that he lives and works out of. And who knows how many people have slept on his couch over the period of time that he has been there. I was so blown away to learn that 8 people would stay at his house when Timmy, who is his temporary roommate who's also living on his couch, came to do an event. It's just amazing, and I thought that was awesome, and I told him that. And even though we didn't get to hang out too much at the event itself, I mean, we were in the same group, there is just something awesome about feeling like you have somebody you want to be friends with that they also want to be friends with you. It's not embarrassing at all. It's actually super cool. I like it. So I've got a bunch of unwritten signs in the back, which is an opportunity to try something new. Yes, I will do Here to Listen. I have that one already written. But I think that there's a chance that I do something different than the side signs that say want to be listened to, want to be heard. That's a sign type that only had one iteration. So we're going to try something new here. No judgment, no advice, no charge is pretty good. I think that if I'm being a content guy, which is really valuable for me to be able to have an audience that's somewhat interested, I might try a couple things that I wouldn't have thought of before. You know, now that I got these GoPros, I may even try doing like I'll give you $2 if you can tell me a story I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Just to see if it works. I mean, why not, right? Try different things. I got $2. I'd be interested in hearing a story I'll never forget for the rest of my life. I've set up at Venice a couple times before. At one of the times, a man made a case about being homeless, and he said all these great points, which I talked about in the video I didn't record. He said, wouldn't you want to live every day of your life doing whatever you want? There are places that you can get food, water, clothing, shoes, socks, cleaning supplies, and he lives in a trailer that he pays $400 a month to rent on the side of the road somewhere, and he loves it. Takes the bus down to Venice and hangs out all day. I think his name was Alexander, and he was talking about the structures of life, the houses that you pay rent for, the things that you pay to maintain. And he said he didn't really want to deal with any of that, and asked me why do I want to have a job where I work 50, 60 hours a week just to pay rent? Great question. A question that really made me think, because he said you can just buy a tent, you could live out on the beach, it's going to be super nice and easy. The only question I have for you is, do you know how to fight for your life? Have you ever been in a fight for your life? One of those. And that was where I went from, this is a good idea, to I remember what structures are for. They're preventing you from having to fight for your life on the streets against people who seek to do you harm. And so my dreams of being a homeless person kind of disappeared after that part of the conversation. Now, this man, he said he'd only been in a fight for his life 2 or 3 times, which is like a modest amount of times you want to fight for your life. I don't know. It was a fascinating thought. He also said that the choice of becoming a homeless person was the best choice he'd ever made in his life, which is a fascinating way to put it, because there is so much about choice in life. And choosing to give up on the structures and the everyday this and that is a fascinating concept. I don't think it's a choice for everybody, but at the same time, I think that there is some element of choice in many things. Anyways, I'm going to go listen, I'm going to make some new signs, and I will tell you how it goes. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the other side.
Hi.
What's up?
So we're over there chatting, and we're just curious.
Yeah.
Like, what are you here to listen to? Other people's problems?
Whatever they want to talk about.
Why would you want to listen to other people's problems?
Well, because people don't practice listening. And so we're practicing our listening skills.
To, oh, okay.
Because, like, if you're coming around with an attitude of, like, I don't want to listen to people's problems, how is someone who you care about going to come to you with a problem and feel like you're someone they can talk to?
You're like, I think it's kind of a little stressful, you don't think? Listening to other people's problems?
Super stressful.
Do you think about them? Do you dream about it?
I don't dream
Why
about
are you not
it.
talking much?
He's practicing
You're
his silence.
I'm just tagging along with him for the day. I'm just
Yeah.
practicing my listening.
Okay.
He does this full time.
Oh, okay.
I just tagged for the day.
All right. All right. So you think you can be helpful to other people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes?
I know so.
All right. Encouragement.
Thank you.
All right. Empowerment. I was just curious, like, what do you do to listen to? But I don't have no problems.
Good.
You know?
That's
Who
amazing.
cares?
What do you
care
mean?
about problems?
I care about some problems.
Because you know every problem can be worked out, so it doesn't matter, right? It's what you gravitate into your mind. You know, we can't stop living because of small problems. But that's good. Good thing you're doing, though. Seriously,
you.
if you can encourage other people,
Just
that's
to
a
practice
good thing.
listening. Remember, you don't got to be a therapist to be there for a
Absolutely
friend.
not. Yeah, you're right. All right. Good luck.
Thanks for stopping by.
Is that a first?
What?
Just,
Everything's a first in some way.
yeah, I guess so.
Great. We're lit. Let's bounce, my boy. We're driving through the city that we all live in. Sleeping, clapping, moving around. I said sleeping, clapping, moving around. Driving home after this listening table. All right. That was really listening table experience Venice Beach edition, which is generally, you don't really know what you're gonna get, because Venice Beach is a place where people be all over different experiences. That's the most sensitive way I can say. It's a mixed bag. People come from all walks of life to be in Venice Beach. There were a couple conversations, and I'll go over them now. The first person to stop by was two young men, talking about how they had made success on TikTok, making cringy, their words, videos, going up to people on the street, and who knows what they do. They are shifting to producing music, and one of them was the creator and one was his manager. And they were saying how he has never felt so passionate about a project. Now, they were letting go of a brand deal to make money from TikTok so that they could pursue music, and that making less money was a scary situation for them to be in. Okay, so you said I was yawning because I yawn and I'm tired. And maybe I'm tired, but maybe it's because I'm shifting from this energetic low, a calmness, a listening state, to a more activated, hey, that I'm talking into the camera and being personable. And I don't navigate those two things with such an ease that I yawn to just get the vibes going, I guess. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's do it again. The guy says he's shifting, and I want to ask questions about how he got successful on TikTok while he was making cringy videos. And I say, look, I'm curious. I have a lot of questions about social media, but I'm practicing my listening skills, and I am going to not ask the questions. Maybe I'll get the answers, But I'm going to not ask the questions because it seems like you want to talk about music, and I'm interested in hearing what you came to talk about. And he talks about the music, and he says he's making the shift, and they feel confident in the song, doing well, and they've got... Seems like it's starting to go well for them, but they haven't taken the jump, and they are on the precipice, and that is exciting. My secondary listener, my silent observer, Aiden, is also deeply involved in social/media. He has made a ton of videos and film and pictures of very successful social media people. And because of that, he had a lot he wanted to say too. He wanted to give advice, and he also didn't say anything. They gave us some tap cards. Whoa, we got merged. We got merged out. I really enjoyed that first conversation as a start to the day. And we even got to be in one of their videos. So who knows? Maybe that'll give me some TikTok followers. Right. Because that's worthwhile to have. What next? The second conversation was with Sparkly. I'm just going to call her Sparkles. Oh no, Sparkles was the third person. The second person was a young woman, maybe in her early 20s, talking about how life is challenging. Oh, she says, should I date a Marine? Should I go out with a Marine? He's been in anger management classes and he's a Marine. What should I do? I'm scared that he's going to beat me. This was a conversation of a young woman asking me and Aiden what she should do with her life. Should she date this guy? Eventually we got into, what should I do for a job? I took a job I didn't like. Now I feel like I don't like having it because I quit. I can go back to school and finish school. She asked a lot of questions where the problem solving in me really wanted to just go vroom, vroom, vroom. I've got solutions to all your problems. And the reality was, and this is what I said to her, I said, I don't know you politely. I said in the kindest way. This is what I said, quote, in the kindest way. I just met you a couple minutes ago. I don't know what you like. I don't know what kind of guys you like. I don't know what kind of job you would be good at. So how am I supposed to give advice? And she kind of pushed back a little bit and said something about what I think. And I asked what she thinks, and we had. And the conversation filled me with a deep sense of, I want to figure out what this woman should do, what her career should be. She talks about wanting to be a teacher, right? That's what I did. I asked what she liked to do. She said she wanted to be a sugar baby. If she could meet a rich guy and have her take care of him. And I said, if this situation happened, how would you spend your time? And she said, I love to take care of a baby. I like taking care of children. And then she said she was interested in teaching, but she also wanted to live in California, which made it hard for her to feel like teachers make a lot of money. And I did say there are teachers in California. And she said, well, how are they living? To which I have no idea. I don't know teachers in California, so I couldn't answer that question. But I did my best to be there and give her no help about it. I asked if she had someone to talk to about this. She said she hadn't talked to anyone about it yet. And I felt this feeling of really wanting to be helpful and not being helpful. Aiden told me after she left that his dad is a teacher and he makes decent money, but it just takes a long time to get. The third person was Sparkles. And she talked for a long time, maybe 30, maybe more. And she was really struggling. I don't want to summarize it because I don't think it'll do justice, but I also don't know how to talk about it without being incredibly straightforward. My observations of this was that she sits down, she says, like, I am going to rehab. She talks about how she's been on a TV show that focused on a very bad habit she had. Being on that TV show made her family not like her. They distanced her. She's had 3 DUIs. She says, so weird that 3 days of your life can make so many months of your life bad. She says, maybe I have to go to jail, but I have to go to rehab. She doesn't want to go to rehab because the rehab room is smaller than the room in her apartment, and she wouldn't want to go, and she wants to go to a rehab where they have horses, so she doesn't want to go to the rehab in Beverly Hills. She wants to go to the rehab in Malibu, which is more expensive, but her parents take care of her, but still, blah, 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 and she doesn't have anyone to go to spend Thanksgiving with because her family is disinvited her from the Thanksgiving, which is heartbreaking. And the whole story was just super sad. And also, there was a level of, in reality, and I talked to Aiden about this afterwards, where Aiden wanted to say, getting 3 DUIs is not like just like a oops thing. It's not just like, it could be really bad. You're lucky that you didn't ruin or kill somebody or a family or people's lives. And so it is easy to judge somebody. And judging doesn't mean saying that they're a bad person in this case. Judging, to me, means just being able to say, okay, you know what, this person is not someone I can talk to, or that there's no point to it. And I think that I really struggled at this during this conversation, because she said, she has Asperger's, and says she's been drinking, and spoke in a way that made it very challenging to take her seriously. I mean, I took her seriously, but the story, there's just a matter of time where the stories and the way you tell them makes it hard for you to listen to. And she, at first, really didn't want to talk about herself, so she told a story about a person she didn't know, but her dad knew, and it just was like going nowhere. And then she talked about herself and her rehab situation a bunch, and talked about dreams of buying a mountain range and writing a book and doing all this stuff. And so it was a really hard conversation to feel like there was a purpose to it. But she also said she doesn't like talking to listeners because they just say, and also that she has to sleep with them, and also that she feels like the people at rehab aren't her friends, and that she doesn't have any friends, and that she wants friends with boundaries. So this conversation was tricky, and it left me feeling like the practice of patience was the one that I needed to work on. But it also gave me that perspective on listeners. And she asked, isn't that weird, a lot, and want my opinion on a lot of things? And I didn't really give my opinion on a lot of things. And I think that I could have, in a conversation with a friend, got into the conversation more and see different ways to do the conversation. Confusing, really confusing conversation. She said she found out her dad was someone who she thought was her brother for a long time, because her mom didn't want to tell her who her real dad was. And so she always thought this man was her brother, and he was in jail the whole time. And then now that he's maybe getting out of jail sometime in the future, she says he's trying to kill her because of the money in the will. And just a bad situation. Really confusing situation too. Very hard to tell what's true. I take everything at face value when I'm at the table, but afterwards, that was a draining conversation. That one was one that required a lot of tough challenge. Conversation 4, I don't remember. I know that my chair broke. My butt just fell through the bottom of it. So that was bizarre. And then the 4th conversation, and then a woman came and said she just wanted to talk about how she signed up for the Andrew Tate University and loved it. She loved it. And she talked about how she realized that she was a man just with a womb. And because being a man is a very Andrew Tate thing. And so it was really cool for me to get to hear about someone who's so stoked about what he talks about. And afterwards, Aiden mentioned that he was curious to see, because he thinks Andrew Tate, says 80% or 70% really regular stuff, and then 10% just off the wall, batshit crazy, Andrew Tate stuff. If you don't know what it is, then you're not missing out. Anyways, she joined his Hustler University or whatever and was taking a class from Moneybags, talking about marketing, business, and being on social media, but only on X, because the other platforms aren't what she wants or something like that. And her thing is Venice Authentics with an X. Just trying to remember that. And it was really cool to hear about a positive experience with someone who I have only heard of negative things about. So that was good. Other small little victories was the guy who came up and just said, I'm a conservative, and then asked if we wanted to talk about that. And I said, look, this isn't the debate table. This is the listening table. I'm happy to talk about it. And he said, I'm really happy about life. Separately, after he said how nice the listening table was, he said, I'm really happy about life. I got nothing to complain about. I got this beautiful family, and I was so stoked. It really was like a refresher from Sparkles. After the Andrew Tate woman, who was talking about spiritualism, and she said all this beautiful stuff about life, and the human tree, and how we exist, and it was beautiful. Sparkles did come back as we were picking up the stuff, and she wanted to talk more, and I was like, I'm packing up. See ya. And she walked with us a little bit. I think she's on the side of could really use some help. It seems like she may not be acting in her own best interests. Anyways, this was really cool. I said in the earlier part I was excited to hang out with Aiden because we are friends now. I also learned from him because I called him randomly. He's on my random call list, which is a thing that I'd like to make a bigger deal out of if I can figure it out. Got this thing where I call people randomly, and he's on the list now. I called him, he didn't pick up. I tried to leave a voicemail, but his voicemail's full. And Aiden works in... Oh, am I blowing a spot up? Well, Aiden's voicemail's full, which serves him because he works in an industry where people want to get a hold of him all the time and leave really long voicemails. So by having a full voicemail box, he's able to keep people to send him voice notes or text messages, which can be a lot easier to sort through than voicemails. And so he said, that's the best way to get a hold of him. And I said, that's annoying to me because I want to call you and leave a voicemail. And now I have this perspective, which is super reasonable and something I never would have had. And so it is a 0.5 degree pivot for me to just call him, have him not pick up, go to my text, and send him a voice note. It takes so little effort from me to get the achieved desire. Meanwhile, if I wanted him to come to my clearing his voicemail, then it would be a lot of change for him. And so I am super excited to find another way to change how I communicate with people, to develop my own flexibility, to realize Aiden gets voice notes. And Cabuzio, who will eventually have a full voicemail box of solely my voicemails, maybe I'll switch to voice notes for him too. Voice notes are really good. There is a thing where you can't save them sometimes, where you lose them, but that's a story for another day. This has been the Listening Table of Venice edition. If you ever want to join me, let me know. I'm so glad to hear that Aiden wants to come back all the time. That was really cool getting to listen and talk to a guy who I think is rad. And so that was that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for enjoying the long form version of this. I wonder how long it actually turned out to be. Anyways, I'm out. Peace.